everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Performance Cafe. It is lovely to see you here in 2024. And as always, I think we're all in a space where we're thinking, what happened last year? What did we do with it? And how do we want to move forward? And I was thinking a lot about this over the holiday. I'm big on reflection and sort of stopping and taking notes along the way. And I was thinking so many thoughts about what gets in the way of life in general. So, I mean, we've spoken so much about things like work-life balance. What happens there? Why does it go wrong? About quiet quitting. Why does that go wrong? All these melodies and things like New Year's resolutions and why they go wrong, and goal setting and why does that go wrong? And I'm very big on all of those things. Well, not the quiet quitting, but I'm really big on thinking at the beginning of the year, setting those goals. I'm really big about understanding work-life balance for myself as well as people around me and the clients that I work with. And so often, the gym is going to be full now, but by the time we get to March, as a metaphor for all of our resolutions and all of our goals, we're going to see people starting to drop off, right? And by winter, everyone in South Africa will be back at home and out of the gym. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. So I was thinking about, why is this happening? And I think that there's something before the goal setting that we're not doing. There's some prep that we're not doing. And for me, I wonder if it's about who we are. So be with me on this one. So often the goal will be, I'm going to go to gym, I'm going to get thinner. The doctor said I must stop smoking. I should really be more ambitious. I want to improve my career so that, like all my friends, I'm on the same space they are, or someone has it's putting pressure on me, like a parent or a spouse or someone to do better. And I think the problem with those things is that they're all extrinsically enforced on us, right? They're coming from outside. And I wonder how much work we need to do on identifying who we are before we start going down the rabbit hole of setting resolutions. Because you see, the people who are still in the gym in July are actually the people who've always been at the gym, who actually maybe even live in, athletic wear. The reason for that is because they don't go to the gym because they have to. They almost don't go to the gym because they want to. They just go to the gym because it's who they are. And I think that is where things fail. So let's take a look at who are we? And I want to give you a couple of tips today to look at that and see what are the things that we can do before we set those plans in place. I think for me, it really starts with one thing. What is your dream? Now, very often we'll go, a plan without, or a goal without a plan is just a dream. And I'm all for that. But I think sometimes if we don't know where we want to go, what's the dream, it's very easy for us to lose our way. My favorite example, any of you who have been watching Performance Cafe for a while will know I love quoting Alice in Wonderland, where Alice comes up to a fork in the road and the Cheshire Cat is in the tree. And she says to me, excuse me, please, can you help me? I don't know which one of these two forks to take. And he said to her, where are you going? And she said, well, I'm not sure. And he said, well, then neither, it doesn't matter. Take either, right? And I think very often the goal is a very concrete thing. I want a promotion by the end of the year, which is great. But I think sometimes we forget to dream. We forget to think about 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line. Where do we want to be? Is it money, family, travel, friends, studies? So I think that maybe we start with a dream, that thing that is so uniquely you that it makes you, it drives you. You're so excited about it, and it's what you want for you, and it's where you see you going. And I think there's a couple of ways we can identify this. And the first thing is, what did you think would happen in your life when you left school? Or as you're about to leave school? Where do you see yourself? What's exciting to you at this point? And the reason I ask this is because sometimes the dream gets set aside because the adult life just takes over. I now all of a sudden have rent to pay. I have a car to pay off. I have to buy clothes for a working environment. I have to commute. And so what happens is, instead of doing the dream and the work-life balance already gets disrupted, and then the life falls out of it and it remains work. And often when we look back, and when I'm coaching my clients, I'll say to them, what's the dream? I understand why you're here for coaching, but what's the dream? And very often people have made major changes just because they realize how far out of alignment they are with the dream, and maybe how many years or even decades have gone past since they were actually aligned to that dream, instead of what's the short-term gain. The second thing that I think we could use after the dream is to ask ourselves, what gives meaning to our lives? So I'm an entrepreneur. My business gives me a lot of meaning, but somehow I always land up in situations that when someone needs help on a personal scale, I'm out there helping them. And sometimes, I must admit, it might not always be the best thing for the business, but that's who I am. That's what gives me meaning and fulfillment. I love supporting people, and I love taking care of those that are closest to me. So I must understand that that gives meaning to me. If I therefore go and sit in an office job, in a cubicle, actually even worse, in like a vault or a computer server room where I never see anyone else, and I'm only working with data, numbers, or coding, it would drive me crazy. If I didn't have an opportunity of weekends to see my friends, to participate in some of their hobbies, to go and watch them do their hobbies, that would remove meaning from my life entirely. And so that concept of meaning is so important. And I want you to think of it as Simon Sinek says, and I think I've said this before. Think of money as the outcome of doing something. Money is not the reason for doing it. It's just one of the outcomes. And so when we remove the money from the list, you'd be amazed what might come up. Maybe, you want to be that rock guitarist or finally build a business overseas. But right now, you've got nothing to start from, and you're thinking, well, I can't do it because I don't have the money. Right? Money should not get in the way. It's about the meaning, because the meaning will give you the energy you need. The third thing that I like to consider when we go down this road is, what would future me want? And it's really interesting. It's tough for us to understand what we will need when we are older and what we will want for ourselves now based on when we're older. But I found a very interesting trick that people do. In fact, it comes from research. If you take a photo of yourself and you age it using AI, you can actually connect with that person. You can see what AI thinks you'll look like. You're probably not going to look like that, but you can actually see an older version of yourself and connect with that concept of old age. And then I want you to look back and forget about everyone else in the world and think, what would future me be proud of me doing? And what kind of life would older me, future me, want me to have lived? And what values would older me think were good ones to keep and what were the bad ones to toss? You see, if you do these things, you understand what have meaning to you now, as well as what will have meaning to you in the future. Because so often we're looking only to now. Some people are like, okay, day by day, Other people go, I'm keeping everything when I'm in old age. The problem being, of course, is that some of us don't get to old age, right? And so therefore, it's optimal that you live your life as best you can and enjoy it as much as you can in the moment. And so I think that from that perspective, we can take that and then from that, from that exercise, evaluate what is my identity? Who am I? What's important to me? And what will remain important to me as far as I'm concerned for most of my life. I think if we start with that exercise and then go and relook the goals or the New Year's resolutions, we're going to find that maybe there's a little bit of reframing and rethinking to do. And in the next episode, I'm going to help you do just that. I'm going to take one of my favorite articles from Tiny Buddha, and I'm reading the title here, 7 self-reflection quotes to create your own happiness this year. I actually used it in my planning for last year, and I felt it really added a lot of value. Amongst others, it figured out this thing that I enjoy helping and supporting other people. So in our next episode, I'm going to talk you through Tiny Buddha's 7 questions and what I learned about applying them in the past year. I hope that you have found this episode useful. And as always, if you'd like to see more, subscribe to any of our channels. All of these posts are uploaded and then also turned into blogs, which you can find at performforward.com. If you've got any questions, comments, or topics you'd like to hear about, please reach out on your favorite channel and we will respond to you as soon as possible. And then until next time, take coffee. It's the new year. We need extra coffee. I look forward to meeting you at the next Performance Cafe.